today. Going to see something so distinctive, so evocative of the Harvard. We often talk about what makes a good trainer, what made the North American T-6 Texan, or the Harvard as it was known to the RAF, such a good trainer. Well, who better to ask than one of the top warbird pilots who's got plenty of experience on these aircraft. We saw him flying at the start of the show today. Stu Goldspink, very nice to have you with us.
Hello Ben, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Now, you have a certain amount of time on Harvard. What is it? What are the attributes that make this such a good trainer?
I think it's pretty hard to fly well. That's always been the case, say, in half an hour flight in Harvard. It displays all the attributes of a warbird, but without the excessive horsepower to get you out of trouble. So you can get into trouble very easily in a Harvard.
So some difficult ground handling characteristics, for example.
They will ground loop quite easily. They have all, as I said, they have all the habits of the fighters. But if you can fly a Harvard well from the back seat, you can fly any of the fighters.
Indeed so, and it's part, as you say, of that vital training progression for pilots nowadays, let alone in wartime like your father.
Yeah, indeed. In fact, we always, for anyone to fly a Spitfire, there's always a check-out in the Harvard somewhere along the line, just to make sure that they can cope with the Harvard, as I said, from the back seat to get the wall reducer facility. And once you've done that, and you've proved to someone that you can fly from the back, you'll go off into a Spitfire and
Indeed so, and so many, including yourself, have made that progression. Well, when was your first trip in one, can you remember?
1991.
Yes?
Yeah, and it was here, in fact, with John Allison, Sir John Allison. And then my next trip was in a Spitfire, the same day.
So, a good day for you then?
It was a brilliant day. I still haven't forgotten it.
Now, as far as the handling characteristics and the ease of flying the aircraft are concerned, when you have mastered it, is it an enjoyable aeroplane?
To tell you the truth, not really. Today, which is just sits there rumbling through the skies.
Yes.
The Harvard's always a little bit slow and it's noisy and rattling, but it's got a great character to it.
We were to have seen one doing aerobatics in the sequence, but it had a mag drop as they were running up at the other end of the airfield there. As far as aerobatics are concerned, obviously a relatively low-powered aircraft compared to the fighters, so energy management much more key.
Very much so, Ben, yes. You can get into a lot of low-speed situations in a Harvard when you really want to be going 20 miles an hour fast and it's actually not going fast enough to do the next manoeuvre. So it's a very important thing to keep the energy up in a Harvard.
And the same goes for maintaining a close formation. I'd imagine quite a lot of throttle jockeying required.
Yeah, these guys have been working quite hard today.
Well, thank you very much, Stu. Fascinating insights and during wartime. As far as the RAF and Commonwealth Air Forces were concerned, the British Commonwealth Air Training Plan was a significant part of the Allied war effort. Pilot training was moved out of the UK to less hazardous places, particularly Canada and Rhodesia. During wartime, more than 167,000 aircraft, including in excess of 50,000 pilots, passed through its facilities in numerous countries. And we see represented by the 7 Harvards flying today a huge variety of different colour schemes reflecting the range of roles to which this aircraft was put. The 3 flying past us at the moment closer to are led by an aircraft that's only recently returned to the UK. It's owned by Black Star Aviation. It's part of the Classic Wings pleasure flying fleet. It's in yellow Royal Canadian Air Force colours. That one, rather similar to what we were talking about in the context of the T-28 earlier, flew very much into harm's way when in 1958 it was used in Lebanon by a UN observation mission during its service with the Swedish Air Force. Behind it is another one of the Duxford-based Classic Wings pleasure flying fleet from T-6 Harvard Aviation, the one in desert camouflage. Those are the markings of number 154 Squadron, and they were chosen because, with that aircraft being based here, that unit was based in wartime at one stage at Foulmere, just down the A505. It's named Wacky Wabbit. That nose art and name not authentic to the Harvard it represents, which is in desert camouflage. By number 154 Squadron, but it's an adaptation of the badge of number 5 Service Flying Training School, which accompanied a drawing of Bugs Bunny in a Harvard. And the third one of the 3 flying past us now is operated by Radial Displays. It's one of the older Harvards flying in the UK. It dates from 1942. Didn't serve with the RAF, it was put into storage, then went to the Royal Netherlands Air Force. went through a number of civilian owners before going into its current hands, including a time here at Duxford with the old Flight Machine Company, who used it as a camera ship for the making 30 years ago this year of the London Weekend television series Piece of Cake. Now, out in front of us, leading the foreship, is a Canadian-built Harvard-4. Large numbers of these aircraft built in Canada by both Canadian Car and Foundry and Nordau. This one dates from 1953. It served with the West German Luftwaffe and then the Portuguese Air Force, in whose colours it appears. And it's operated by the Aircraft Restoration Company. The second of those four is a very stylish addition to the UK fleet. It too served with the Royal Canadian Air Force. It was built in Canada, went into private hands in the United States, including a long time with the then Confederate Air Force. Last year it was, or 2 years ago rather, it was imported into the UK. It's registered to Cirrus Aircraft UK. It was returned to airworthiness by Air Leasing, and the very highly polished silver scheme with the red nose, the markings of the California Air National Guard post-war. By the aircraft's original